Hi there friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan and I didn't really want to have to talk about this. I wanted to start my coverage of the 4th year of the Clone Wars. Me and the wife were going to enjoy Valentine's Day. It was going to be a calm and peaceful weekend. But no, I have to wake up to the news that Gina Carano has been fired by Lucasfilm for a tweet. And so on my way in the morning to grab a cup of joe, I typed up this little post on our Facebook and we got a lot of comments. First, I gotta say, I'm super proud of the fact that it seems like most people who watch this channel are very reasonable, rational, and compassionate individuals, and they don't just, scream at each other in the comment section. I really am grateful that I feel like the Humanity First message is getting through. But the thing is, that small post is really inadequate to truly kind of get into this larger issue of what's happening with Gina Carano. So I thought maybe, for once, instead of just trying to spread chaos and hatred against aquatic animals and aliens, I thought instead I'd use this platform for once to do some good and try to be reasonable. So at the core of this controversy, as British Ben would say, is this Instagram story reposted on Gina Carano's profile. It reads, "Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Asian unhappy face." Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? My initial reaction to this was cringe, because it's gotta be tiring for Jews to constantly have to deal with people referencing one of their most horrible moments and comparing it to whatever substantially less horrible situation they are going through. The Holocaust was the Holocaust, and there are very few things that are even comparable to it. Gina Carano, like Cara Dune with her rotating blaster cannon, was clumsy as hell for posting this message. I'm sure it offended a lot of people. I mean, thankfully, we still have Holocaust survivors who are still alive today to remind us of just how terrible that moment in history was. But is what Gina Carano said here hate speech or anti-Semitic? Or as Lucasfilm called it, abhorrent? I really think it's a stretch to say any of those things about her comments. Maybe abhorrent, fine. Lucasfilm execs would also say the following: her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. I had to actually look up what denigrate means because it's one of those words that I have used before, but I'm not exactly sure what it means. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it means tending or serving to insult or belittle someone. Look, I don't think that's an honest interpretation of this event exactly. While what she said might be insulting, I don't think her intention here is to insult or belittle anyone. She's talking about, I guess, policing free speech. It's a completely different issue. Now, of course, Lucasfilm and that psychotic mouse has every right to fire Gina Carano. I mean, this is America after all, and while I don't believe Gina Carano's statements in this post have any malice behind it, it definitely could create a lot of controversy for the company. The problem here, as a lot of you guys mentioned on our Facebook post, is that a lot of Disney employees in the past have said as absurd and offensive things as what Gina Carano has said, starting with Jack Morrissey. He tweeted the following: "MAGA kids go screaming hats first into the wood chipper." He, of course, was talking about those Covington kids that the media wrongfully profiled and demonized, if you guys remember that whole incident. Jack Morrissey, who worked on Beauty and the Beast and Twilight, issued an apology ultimately and deleted that tweet, which is the right thing to do. And I think Disney does the right thing here too by not firing him, but according to their standards, didn't he just post what essentially is a death threat? I mean, why is that guy not getting fired, at least retroactively now? Then there's this interesting tweet from Pedro Pascal, who compares children being held in cages by the US Border Patrol to, surprise, concentration camps. See what I mean? This is what the Jews have to deal with all the time. Of course, this is a terrible situation, terrible optics. America is supposed to be a nation of immigrants, and for some reason we constantly mess with the last ones who cross the finishing line all the time. But listen, as bad as that situation might look, those kids were not in line to be incinerated by Nazis. Again, by Disney standards, they should have probably fired Pedro Pascal. No, but seriously, Disney, please don't fire Pedro Pascal. We like him. This is why cancel culture is so stupid and dangerous. Today, it's conservatives But with these same rules, one day they'll target liberals too, and then who knows, in the future we'll target gingers or people who wear hats. It's never-ending chaos and has to stop. Then there's the whole issue of this other guy, Pablo Hidalgo, who I actually don't really care for much. He posted the following: "Emotions are not for sharing," after he saw the Star Wars Theory guy crying about the reveal of Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian. Now, I'm not gonna hate on Pablo too much here because I'll be honest, I was gonna laugh at him when I found out about this whole situation too, because you can't shake all of the toxic out of this masculinity. But I did a little research about the Star Wars Theory guy, and I found out, he went through some stuff when he was younger, and this scene was very impactful and meaningful for him. Plus, I really appreciated the balls it takes to shed tears in public. That's something I haven't been able to do ever since I went to SeaWorld in '96. And plus, unlike Pablo Hidalgo, I don't work for Disney. Had I made fun of him, I would have been punching up because, my YouTube channel is a lot smaller. Disney should have fired Pablo Hidalgo for this based on that whole bad for business thing they used to fire Gina Carano. I mean, you can't have your top creative executives making fun of Star Wars fans. We just want some consistency, Disney, and that's all. I mean, that's what the shareholders want, right? Stability. Look, the thing is, Gina Carano didn't just post this one thing, though, on social media. She posted a lot of stupid stuff. So, I guess I understand why they want to fire her. This wasn't the first offense. There was this one incident where she added the pronouns boop, bop, beep to her Twitter username. People accused her for mocking trans people and their usage of pronouns, to which she replied, "Beep boop bop has zero to do with mocking trans people. It has 100% to do with exposing the bullying mentality of the mob that has taken over the voices of many genuine causes. I want people to know you can take hate with a smile. So boop you for misunderstanding. Hashtag all love, no hate." Now, she removed those words from her profile after Pedro Pascal explained to her why they were offensive. Which means I hope she understands why, her words were kinda hurtful. Now, obviously, she's allowed to do whatever she wants, in my opinion, even on something like Twitter. But there's almost like a moral reason why you should avoid this kind of humor, because, I can imagine being a trans person is probably one of the hardest things in the world. You're just dealing with bad people. Well, you know what? I'm gonna Liam Neeson myself here, actually. I gotta admit, when I was younger, when I was a kid, I definitely said homophobic things and transphobic things. I mean, I grew up with South Park and other degenerate but hilarious comedy that basically made fun of everyone. There was an equality to the dishing out of shade, which I really appreciated. I've definitely said the phrase "that's gay" as a replacement for "that sucks" or "that's terrible," and that was terrible. I deeply regret ever having those moments, and it's like a very shameful part of my past. I try not to think about or talk about too much, but the reality is I was given the opportunity to kind of understand why what I was saying was stupid and hurtful. And I feel like everyone deserves that opportunity to kind of reach that conclusion, because isn't that what we want at the end of the day, right? That whole saying about poking people's eyes out and making everyone blind. And lastly, yes, Gina Carano is known for supporting the Trump school of thought. Election fraud, masks are for pussies, and then there's all that QAnon stuff. So my opinion about this, well, you know what, hold on. There's a reason why I never talk about whether I'm pro or anti-Trump on this channel, and it's because I'm a YouTuber. I'm of average intelligence, and I don't want to be influencing people too much. That's why I rarely ever talk about specific political ideas or take specific political stances. I'm usually in the middle, kind of. But since Trump is now out of office and he's no longer president, and for the purposes of this video, I will say this. As a New Yorker who knows plenty of real estate folks like him, I've always seen him as a con man. I don't necessarily disagree with every one of his policies, but it's really just his execution of the office and his ego that I have a huge issue with. But the point here is, despite my beliefs, I don't think we should be trying to cancel Gina Carano because she's pro-Trump. I wear masks. I think QAnon is crazy, but I will defend Gina Carano's right to post stuff about it. Why not? I'm the son of immigrants who fled a totalitarian state for democracy and capitalism. I truly treasure what we have here in America. And the thing that makes America great is not only freedom of speech, but this idea that we should respect each other no matter what our political views are. It's not just about diversity of culture and people, but also a political thought. What becomes troubling is when one person decides that they have the right to silence other people. No one should have that right. And at worst, if you really can't stand someone's political opinion, if you really can't find common ground, just don't talk about politics. Find common ground elsewhere. Maybe both like, I don't know, lacrosse or something. It's very easy to do. We're on a planet that only has 2 sentient species, so there are plenty of similarities. Anyway, guys, that is my rant for today. I'm sorry that we didn't do a Star Wars video and we had to talk about all of this nonsense. I also hope I didn't add to the divisiveness and all the craziness that's going on. You know, I really do believe in this humanity first kind of mentality, and that's like we should always look at people as human beings first instead of the groups they belong to or whatever, because it's a much better way of just dealing with people, right? I mean, that's what we really need at the end of the day in these crazy times. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.